What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another Battlefield 6 gun guide. In today's episode, we're going to be moving on to the carbine category and covering the M4A1. And let's just dive right into it with our raw power potential. And the M4 has the fastest rate of fire in the carbine category at 900 rounds per minute. And on top of that, we have 5 different damage ranges. And up close, the M4 is a 4-shot kill to the body, but after just 9.5 meters, it's then a 5-shot kill. Then from 21.5 meters up to 75 meters, it's a 6-shot kill. And then beyond 75 meters, it'll be a 7-shot kill. So a pretty big range there in the number of shots to kill. As for our time to kill potentials within these ranges, they're better than average across the board for the carbine category. And even relative to some of the SMGs in this game, this gun kills very quickly. So it absolutely excels in the time to kill department. And when it comes to headshots, it does pretty good in the medium damage ranges. So from 9.5 meters up to about 37.5 meters. We just need 2 headshots mixed in with body shots in order to reduce the number of shots to kill, and that's without having to use the hollow point ammo. Now, let's have a deeper look at the ranges for the carbines. And just like with the assault rifle category, most of these guns have the exact same damage drop-off points, although we have more damage range drop-off points than most of the assault rifles. However, we do have one exception here, which is the M277. That one only has 3 damage ranges. But in the case of the M4, this just falls in line with most of the other carbines, with a very short maximum damage range at just 9.5 meters. Now to that, let's have a look at our bullet velocity, and this time I've ordered them from fastest to slowest, so you can kind of see where it stands a little bit easier here. And as we can see, the M4 is the second slowest when it comes to muzzle velocity in the carbine category, so it doesn't really excel in this area, and that will limit your potential, especially if you're stretching your ranges out quite a bit, and also trying to shoot moving targets. Then let's take a look at hipfire, and once again, all of the guns in the same category have the exact same hipfire spread by default. And this is what it looks like against a target at 10 meters. And unsurprisingly, the carbines have better hipfire spreads than the assault rifles, for instance, and therefore they're going to be far more effective on average at hipfiring, and especially in the case of the M4 with its really fast rate of fire. This gun really excels at hip firing, especially if you build your gun specifically for hip fire, which I will be sharing a hip fire build later. This gun can absolutely dominate in the hip fire department. Now, let's get into one of the areas that I would consider to be a downside with the M4A1, and this is recoil. As we can see here, it has the highest magnitude of vertical recoil out of the carbine category, and there's a fair amount of spread, and your spread tends to kick in fairly early on as well. It doesn't take too long for things to start blooming out as you continue holding the trigger down. But in saying that, at least this gun is very consistent. It kicks basically in a straight line upward with a little bit of a lean to the right. There's no zigzag to it, nothing like that. It's very easy to predict and manage the recoil. And then when it comes to your spread, as long as you're ensuring that you're planting your feet and tap firing at those longer ranges, well, yes, it's not going to be quite as precise as many of the other guns out there. I still find it to be quite manageable with this gun, like more so than you would think by simply looking at this recoil pattern. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is an incredibly accurate and easy to use gun. It's just a little easier than it might look at first glance relative to the others that you're seeing here. Now, after that, let's get into our handling stats, and our aim down sight time is the same as all the other carbines and quite solid at just 200 milliseconds. And our sprint out time is roughly 160 milliseconds based on my testing. Surprisingly here, I was actually seeing some pretty good consistency with sprint out times, but it's still hand tested and hard to get 100% perfectly accurate values. So that's why I just say it's roughly 160 milliseconds. Then our magazine capacity is just standard at 30 rounds, and we've got quite a fast reload time at 2.2 seconds for our base reload and 1.95 seconds for any of the fast reloading magazines. These are the fastest reload times in this category. And then finally, for our base stats that relate to multiplayer at least, let's have a look at our mobility stats. And unsurprisingly, just like with assault rifles, we've got these same mobility values across the board for this category. And it's also worth noting, all of these values, aside from our aim walking speed, are the same as assault rifles as well. So you gain no benefit to like sprint speeds or walking speeds or anything. However, our aim walking speed is a bit faster than assault rifles, but of course slower than SMGs at 2.35 meters per second. And with that, this just leaves us with the basic stats for REDSEC against 2 armor plates in Battle Royale. We're going to be killing in 8 shots right up close and personal and 13 shots at long ranges, meaning our time to kill is going to range between 467 milliseconds and 800 milliseconds. Both of these values are quite exceptional for REDSEC, and therefore at least just looking at this raw time to kill potential, it's looking really good for the M4. And there we have it. That wraps it up for all of the important stats that I wanted to cover today. Now let's get into a couple excellent attachment combinations. And the first one I've got for you guys is honestly one of my favorite go-to builds in the entire game right now. This is my M4 balanced accuracy build. With this one, we're using the OSA-7 optic. That's my personal favorite. We've got the lightened suppressor, so it keeps us off the radar at least beyond 15 meters. And it also helps with recoil without sacrificing in the idle sway department. For our barrel, we've got the extended barrel, since our bullet velocity does leave a lot to be desired, so the extended barrel just helps us stretch our ranges out a little bit better by improving that up to 787 meters per second. Then for our underbarrel, we're using the 6H64 vertical, essentially just because that's the best underbarrel we could realistically afford relative to the other attachments, and that one helps nicely with recoil as well. For a magazine, I'm using the 36 round mag just because with the really fast rate of fire, I find I burn through the 30 round mags just a bit too quickly, so having that extra 6 rounds really does seem to go a long way. And then we're just topping this off with our standard ammo. And with this particular build, you can see we're cutting down our recoil quite nicely. There's still a fair amount of spread with this that kicks in very early on. And that's something you definitely have to be aware of with this gun. You want to be very careful about tap firing and not taking fights at like really extreme ranges unless you just feel really confident that you're taking that enemy off guard, for instance. Like I would generally avoid face-to-face fights at really long ranges at least. But outside of that, this gun can really hold its own in a wide variety of situations. It's quite versatile and really easy to manage and use as well, in my experience. And that's why it's one of my personal favorites. Now, in saying that, like I mentioned earlier, this gun is also really good at hip fire. So let's have a look at my hip fire build. And on this one, we're using an iron sight because I needed those 5 extra points elsewhere, so no optic on this one. We have the 50 milliwatt green laser and flashlight combined with the short barrel, so we get the tightest possible hip fire spread with those 3 attachments. We're also using the CQB suppressor, so we're not harming our hip fire spread at all, because all of the other suppressors will harm that value. And it is really nice to stay off the radar and not self-spot yourself every single time you fire your gun. And then after that, we're just using the standard ammo and the 40 round mag, just to give us a little bit more ammo to play with, since we will be spraying and praying a little bit since it is a hip fire build. And this one has a ridiculously tight hip fire spread. And like I said, with that high rate of fire as well, it's super forgiving in hip fire, has an excellent time to kill potential as well right up close where you should be playing while hip firing. And this makes this a very deadly setup as long as you're playing your situations right and getting yourself in those close quarters. And there we go. With that, that is finally going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the M4A1. And when it comes to my overall thoughts on this gun, it's actually one of my favorites in the entire game. Like I mentioned, it just kills nice and quick. While it definitely has some recoil and spread, like more recoil and spread than many other guns in the game, I really don't find it's that difficult to manage and control. And it just eliminates those like extremely long range fights that I might take with some of the assault rifles, for instance, or like an AK-205. I won't take those fights with this gun, and that's fine. I'll just reposition and take a slightly closer range fight. And anytime I do manage to keep myself in close to mid ranges, I feel very confident that I'm going to be winning a lot of my 1v1 face-to-face fights due to the raw power potential and the forgiveness of the fire rate with this gun. So that's why I like it. It works really well for me in my playstyle, but I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How do you feel about the M4A1 in Battlefield 6 in its current state? Do you guys really like this carbine, or maybe not so much? Just let me know down below. Now, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes of gun guides for Battlefield 6, I've covered all of the assault rifles, and I will leave a link to the playlist in the description down below. However, I have been getting a lot of feedback that people want to see me bounce around a little bit more and not just stick to one weapon category and cover all of the guns and then move on to the next one. So from here on out, I'm open to suggestions. If you have a gun that you really want me to cover next, please let me know in the comments down below. And if I'm seeing certain guns pop up a lot in those comments where it's clear many people want to see them, regardless of the weapon category that they're in, I may bump them up on the list and cover them a bit earlier than I otherwise would. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.